The FBI in Peace and War. Another great story based on Frederick L. Collins' copyrighted book, The FBI in Peace and War. Drama, thrills, action. Tonight's story, Gray Matter.
And I'm no sooner behind the wheel when this fancy green Jag backs into me like I wasn't existing or something. A flash, and I'm on the street, moving on the driver, and I yell at him.
Hey, go easy on the fizz, will you? I want to drown. I drown in scotch.
Yeah. I yell at him, where do you think you are? We got laws for driving backwards. When what do? I see it's my old friend, Fancy Davies. I say at him, well, Fancy, for the love of Mike, what are you doing here in a non-resort? And you're driving one of those there Italian cars besides.
Hey, only one Cuba ice.
Yeah. And he says at me, well, Perry, for the love of Mike, what are you doing here in a non-resort? And a Jag ain't an Italian, it's an English.
Charming repartee.
Liz. I'm telling you, this is important. This Fancy Davies is out of lady luck, I'm telling you. A regular walk-in file of every racket known to the police, the FBI, and even you and me.
Liz, honey, relax, huh? Do me a favor.
Yeah, you won't think it's such repartee when it saves Mace from shelling out 200 G's, not to mention a stretch into pokey. Oh, that's him now, Mace. I asked him to come over before dinner.
I haven't finished my drink yet.
You don't got to worry. This one's a down the hatcher from way back. Hello, Fancy. Come on in.
Good evening, Perry. I detect the aroma of good Scotch whiskey. I'm not intruding, am I?
No, not on your life. We're expecting. Come on in.
Thank you.
Fancy, this is my boss, Mr. Mason. Mace, this is Fancy Davis. From here up, nothing but gray matter.
Hello, Davies.
Mr. Mason, sir?
Fancy, let me fix your 2 fingers. I was just going to tell him about your professional career when you arrived.
Let him tell us himself, Perry.
Well, I'm delighted. Thank you very much, Perry.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there isn't much to tell, really. I'm a specialist by trade, only my specialty seems to offend our good gentlemen of law enforcement. And so I'm temporarily removed from the active play.
He's on the lam, Mason.
What's the specialty, Davies?
My specialty, Mr. Mason, is specialty. People in trouble come to me. They fail to extricate themselves. Their friends have failed. Their attorneys have failed. I make a complete study of the problem.
A complete study, huh?
Yes, and after it, I offer a way out that may be beyond one's ken, but is nonetheless perfection itself, guaranteed to be absolutely foolproof. You don't mind, sir, if I help myself to just one more swallow of this delightful scotch?
No, go right ahead. But I think you're only wasting your time. They got me coming and going. There's no way out of this.
They never have you when Fancy Davies starts thinking, Mr. Mason. You can put your mind at ease, sir. From here in, mine will take command. Cheers.
One of the smartest and most artful swindlers ever to come to the attention of your FBI was James Monroe Davies, born some 45 years ago in Shenandoah County, Virginia. Davies was well educated, a brilliant law student who failed to matriculate in his final college year when his tuition money went to the horses instead of the registrar. Seeing this as a challenge, he abandoned his legal career for an illegal one that covered every known fraud. Common gossip had it, if Fancy Davies was in your corner, the opposition might just as well pack up and go home.
That's what I said, sir. Pack up and go home.
Uh-huh.
What did I tell you, Mace? Your worries are over. The crime commission can go jump in the lake.
Davies.
Yes?
You mean you've really figured an angle that'll pull me out of this thing?
Yes, I mean exactly that. Of course, there's a small price tag on it.
Don't worry.
50,000.
50?
It's worth it, believe me.
Now I know why they call you Fancy. You got big ideas, friend.
That's right, I have, and that's why I charge big prices. Of course, if you'd rather not hear the angle...
Okay, 50,000. Let's hear.
All right. I'm going to make this brief, sir, and to the point. I've been over the entire situation. I've spoken with Perry. I've spoken with Elizabeth. I've read all the material you gave me.
So
the long and short of it is this. Stop me where I'm wrong, please, sir. The Crime Commission has you over a barrel. Oh, you can worm your way out of the cash checks. Ditto the undeclared profits. But those tape recordings they've got will lower the boom, sir. And then some.
Telling me something.
As a matter of fact, I'm very surprised that you were able to find counsel to represent you. Mr. Mason, tell me, how in heaven's name did you allow those recordings out of your hands?
We didn't. It was that louse, Sal Leviton. Mace didn't even know there was recording.
Oh, Sal Leviton?
Yeah, my ex-partner.
Oh.
The nerve of the guy. He didn't trust me. Took down every word from my mouth for 4 years, and after I treated him like my own, what does he do but go make a present to the DA, who was never my best pal to begin with?
Too bad.
Very too bad. Well, I still don't see nobody packing up to go home.
You will.
How?
On the day you're subpoenaed, your attorney simply walks into court with this briefcase and sets it down near the recording machine on display as evidence.
And?
And that's all.
That's all?
Simple enough, isn't it?
Maybe too simple. How does a nothing briefcase give them no leg to stand?
Obviously, your schooling failed to include the appealing subject of electronics, sir. Inside the briefcase, you'll find a powerful battery-operated electromagnet.
Electromagnet.
Battery-operated.
Yeah.
In the vicinity of the magnet, anything recorded on tape in a mere fraction of a second isn't.
What?
Completely erase, sir. Every single word. On the same principle used to erase the tape in the ordinary recording machine. Well?
Well. And well.
I'm telling you, am I right? Right out of Lady Luck. The guy has got it up here. All brain, I'm telling you. All gray matter. Am I right?
Wanted by the FBI for fraud and unlawful flight to avoid prosecution, James Monroe Davies, alias Fancy Davies. Description as follows. Height 6 feet, weight 180, age... Good morning. I'm looking for the ad department of Nebula Publications. This it?
That's right. I'm Nebula. Also Big Dipper Publications, Fourth Dimension, and Milky Way. We put out all four. What can I do for you, mister? I'll give you a nice price on a full-page spread.
My name's Stevens, FBI.
And my name... FBI, huh? Well, sit down. What's on your mind?
This ad on page 12 of your January issue. Are you familiar with it?
I haven't got my glasses.
Right next to the factual story by Dr. Kingman.
Oh, sure. A practical plan for interplanetary television.
Are you familiar with it?
I should be. I wrote it.
You're Dr. Kingman?
A pseudonym. I knock off half the yarns in the mags under different suits. Aliases, I guess you'd call them.
Are you familiar with the advertisement, not the story?
What's it say?
It says, don't let next Christmas be empty as the last for our young homeless ones. Send your old tape recorders and electromagnets to Pastor Davies' youth home. Care of Nebula Magazine. Electrostatic generators especially needed.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
You know anything about the man who took the ad?
Pastor Davies? No, why should I? A man like that does such fine work with the kids, you don't ask questions. He paid his bill, we sent what come in, and that was that.
You have his forwarding address, don't you?
I'd have to look it up. January issue, huh?
That's right.
It ought to be right here in the files. What's all the excitement? Pastor Davies isn't Pastor Davies?
Oh, quite the opposite.
Yeah, here we are. Davies. Oh, no, that's Murdoch. I can't see a thing without my glasses. Here we are. That says Davies, don't it? Pastor Davies, all mail and articles to 429 South Avenue in Brooklyn.
Well, that's where I found the magazine. Anything else?
After March 1st, the Beekman Hotel in Chicago to be held until called for.
All right, that may help. Thanks for your cooperation.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Say, where do you suppose he is now, Davies? What I mean, a meatball like that isn't going to hang around one place too long.
If I knew the answer to that, I wouldn't be here. But I'll tell you one thing. When I catch up with him, he'll be sweating it out in court.
All right now, Mr. Mason, suppose we leave undeclared profits for the moment and turn to the subject of those cash checks.
Okay, Your Honor.
Mr. Mason, may I remind you again, I am not Your Honor. Counsel here in this instance is only serving the committee and should be addressed as neither judge nor jury.
Okay, I get you.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Mason, what I'm getting at is this. During one period of this more or less continuous operation...
What page of the testimony are you referring to?
Page 226. Checks were being cashed at your establishment, Mr. Mason. So far as I can see, checks were being cashed at the rate of close to $500,000 a month. And it would seem to me that if that many checks were...
Now, the chair is going to have to ask the attendants to clear this meeting room unless I have the cooperation of the people here. This is not staged for your amusement. Please remember that and refrain from outbursts of any kind. I'm sorry, Mr. Birdall.
It would seem to me that if that many checks, at least during that period, I mean to say that you must have been making a lot of money. Wouldn't you think so, Mr. Mason?
Well, now I have an in-law in the laundry business right here in the city. I don't know the exact address, but what I want to point out is...
Mr. Mason...
May I continue? I got the floor.
Yes, go ahead.
Well, what I want to point out is, he told me, my in-law, he told me that somebody, he don't even gamble, he was in Miami, you know, and somebody come to visit him. I don't think he ever got a parking ticket in his whole life, not even one. No, he's a fine, honorable man. But what did he do? Well, he took his guests out to eat, and he cashed a check in one of those gaming houses there because he discovered he didn't have his wallet on him in order to pay the bill, pay the tabs for what his crowd, what they all eat, you see?
Yes, but what is that?
Well, they know him at the place. They know who he was. But he had to cash the check in, of all places, a gaming house. So you see? And the character don't even gamble.
Well, Mr. Mason, if this is going to be your attitude throughout this...
Well, listen, only too glad
if it is,
on the stand, sworn
really
in.
Small
and even if it hurts, I got to tell the truth. None of that tending to incriminate malarkey. Instead what?
Instead, Mr. Chairman, I should like to have placed the tape recording introduced earlier as evidence. And I'm confident that it will speak for itself and make clear what Mr. Mason is so obviously attempting to hide.
Exactly what is this recording?
Conversations fully pertinent to the issue here. Conversations between Mr. Mason and his partner, ex-partner, Sal Leviton.
The chair has no objection. I am assuming the conversations did not take place over the telephone?
That is correct.
The chair has no objection. Does Mr. Mason object?
Well, certainly not. I got nothing to hide. Go right ahead. Don't mind me.
Well, thank you. All right, Harry. Now, this first voice is that of Mr. Mason. Wait a minute, Harry. Did you start in the right place? Well, here, let me. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. We'll begin again. This does it, Harry.
All right now?
All right, sir. Mr. Mason's voice.
What's wrong there, Mr. Birdall?
Well, I don't quite know. It was playing perfectly. Something is wrong, sir. I don't quite know what it is. Yes, gentlemen. Good evening.
Good evening. We're looking for a man named Davies, James Davies, or he might be using the name Monroe. My credentials.
Why, yes, we have a Mr. James Davies in 1012, but I'm not at all certain that he's in just now. Would you like me to check?
Would you do that, please?
Certainly, if he's in.
We'll see him now. If he isn't in, we'll see he gets a warm reception as soon as he gets back.
Did you see that DA's face when he came up with the 00? Honest, I thought I'd split a gut.
You and me both. And then when the chairman calls for help, and the repair guy says, the tape's a blank.
Oh, that was beautiful. That was really beautiful.
Well, thank you, man.
Telling you, tears come down my cheeks. So help me, tears. First, he should have gone in for the stage. I mean it.
Yeah, my hat's off to you, Davies. You really come up with the brass ring. Here I go in expecting the axe, and I walk out with all the marbles. Yeah, and no fooling. The look on that DA's puss was worth the price of admission alone. Hey, Perry, how's about another one of these? Straight.
Well, I'm very glad you're satisfied, Mr. Mason.
Satisfied?
I like to leave my clients happy. And by the way, sir, speaking of the price of admission...
Yeah. Here you are. All tucked away in this envelope, ready and waiting for you.
Thank you.
Hey, what's the matter? You don't trust me?
Oh, sir, now, really.
Well, how do you like that? He don't trust me. How do you like that?
I don't.
Huh?
Hey, Miss. Straight.
Yeah. What do you mean you don't?
Just that.
First guy I know don't like the General Washington.
Oh, I like 'em fine, only not 15,000 of 'em.
What's the matter? They counterfeit or something?
Not counterfeit, Perry. They're just 35,000 short.
That's so?
Our arrangement was for $50,000, Mr. Mason. Apparently, there's been an oversight, so if you'll just...
Davies.
Yes?
No oversight.
No?
No. I talked this out with myself, real careful. I decided 15 was the right figure. I decided the tape's erased. What can you do?
I see. You decided. And you, Elizabeth, do you think 15,000 is right?
I know one thing. Offer me 15, that's all.
Perry, what about you?
He's with me.
That right, Perry? You with him?
Well, 15 is still a lot of cash, Fancy.
Yes.
Take the 15, Davies.
Very well.
You'll take it?
I will.
No hard feelings? You're not sore?
Oh, on the contrary, you've done me a great favor, sir.
Yeah?
Here I was suffering the most violent feelings of guilt, and all the time...
Guilt about what? What are you talking about?
Well, how would you feel, sir? If they caught up with you and to save some of your skin, you agreed to cooperate by turning in your friends.
Mace, I'm not sure I know what he said, but I'm sure I don't like it.
Knock off. Who caught up? What are you talking about?
Bet I know.
I said knock off, the both of you. Davies.
They. That's who. They called up. The FBI.
I'm getting out of here.
Hurry.
He's got it up his sleeve, Mace. I know the guy.
Davies, if that noggin of yours is spinning overtime, forget it. Now, that's a piece of warning.
Too late.
Don't say that.
It's never too late.
It is now. Every word you've said is immortally inscribed on tape, sir. Microphone right here under my jacket. The FBI right outside that door.
What? Bluff.
Easy to find out.
All right. Hurry. Open the door.
Me?
You.
What if he means?
Open the door.
Uh-huh. Is anybody there? Nobody's out there.
Open it.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Uh-huh. There's somebody out there. FBI?
That's right.
This way, gentlemen. Take him away.
Why, you low skunk, Davies, you really did it.
I really did, didn't I?
Of all the rotten, crummy stunts that I ever heard...
Mason. Come on, let's go.
Just a minute. Just a minute.
What for?
He's got something belongs to me. 15,000 in cash.
The man's obviously deluded. I've been paid for services rendered.
Let's have the 15, Davies. It's all on tape. Let's have it. Ready, Mason?
You know something, Fancy? I'm surprised at you. I'm really surprised. Turning in your best friend, practically.
I'm sorry, Perry.
Brother, you don't know how sorry. Not till we meet up again, you don't know.
Mason?
And you too, Perry. All brain. Gray matter. Right out of Lady Luck.
I'm telling you, can I help it? I'm a mind reader or something, maybe?
Stow it. Okay, badge happy. I'm ready.
Profiting from past experience, the United States Attorney took no chances in prosecuting James Monroe Davies. Tried separately, he was convicted as charged and sentenced to a 10-year term in the penitentiary at Atlanta. In consideration of his aid in the apprehension of Mason and Perry Beamer, however, this was subsequently reduced by 4 years. Mason and Beamer pled guilty to the conspiracy charge and are currently serving out terms totaling 17 years. All in all, it was a black day for gray matter.
In tonight's story, Paul McGrath played the part of Fancy Davies, and Walter Grisey was Mace. This radio dramatization for the FBI in Peace and War was written by Jack Anson Fink. These programs are produced and directed by Betty Mandeville. All names and characters used on the program are fictitious. Any similarity to persons living or dead is purely coincidental. This program is based upon Frederick L. Collins' copyrighted book, The FBI in Peace and War, and the broadcast does not imply endorsement, authorization, or approval by the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
We pause now for station identification.